Yo, what is up YouTube? It's your boy Bobby D, and I'm back again with another hot, juicy video. And as always, I'm joined by the swollest hair consultant in Austin,
Bobby.
Steve Cook.
Thanks for having me back.
Thanks for being on my channel, Steve. And you know, when Steve's here, we're going to talk about hair. And also, Steve has his own channel, Defeating Hair Loss. Great content. I make an appearance, you know, every so often.
Can't do it without you.
I try to help out. And, you know, Steve, you know, I'm always, you know, looking up ways to, you know, prevent hair loss and finding ways or finding reasons, you know, what could cause hair loss. And, you know, I look online and, you know, I guess it's like a myth or something, you know, if you wear a baseball hat or, you know, maybe even like a football helmet, if you're a football player, that could possibly cause hair loss. Is that true, or what are your thoughts?
Well, Bobby, thanks again for having me back. You know, there's things you can do to your hair like traction alopecia where you're pulling and tugging on it too much. If you have these like little tics with your personality where you're constantly pulling your hair, stuff like that. But those are very few and far between. Baseball hats, no. You know, you played baseball since you were 8 years old. Now you're, you know, in college and you start to lose your hair. It's just the age that was predisposed at birth. So genetic pattern hair loss, diagnosed with clinical term androgenic alopecia, is predisposed. You're predisposed at birth. It's not your mom's fault. It's not your dad's fault. They didn't do anything wrong, but you are predisposed, meaning you're going to lose your hair. The clock was ticking. I didn't know it. And lucky me, I hit the lottery, the bad lottery, where I started losing my hair at 17 years old. Nothing anybody could do about that. I played football. I played baseball. It wasn't because of those caps. Female patients, 98% of them, 98% have androgenic alopecia. That's just hereditary hair loss. It's an aging thing, but sometimes it starts early, and that's challenging. So the 2% that it may not be are maybe some thyroid issues, or it could be low iron, but definitely not anything that they're doing to their hair unless they're tying it for extensions and pulling and tension on it. The African-American females, I work with them a lot. They have the traction alopecia that they get since they were braiding their hair at a very young age. Motorcycle helmets, racing car drivers, you know, unless there's a pulling and tugging. I did have a patient at one time that was from the Middle East and wore, you know, the turban. I don't know if that's the word, but you know, you know, and it was really tight for a really long time, and it literally did cause him to have hair loss. But I mean, that was like really tight, and he wore it all the time. So that was a rarity. But no. You know, when you're out there and you're trying to find out what's going on, especially if you have the pattern. So last thing I'll say, I know I'm a little long-winded.
It's all good.
Is the pattern of loss, okay? Like you yourself, Bobby, when you started losing your hair, you were losing it in the hairline. And that was a pattern. That's a typical male pattern. For you, it was like, you know, mid-20s, late 20s. For me, it was in my teens, but it was in the pattern. So the good news is, there's nothing physically wrong with you. You're perfectly healthy. The bad news is you got genetic pattern hair loss. Now, if you were wearing a football helmet or, you know, a motorcycle helmet or racing car helmet, I know those things are pretty protective, and you started having patches all over the sides and back. Well, I mean, I don't know if that's caused by the helmet, but definitely that's not the pattern. That's an issue. That could be a skin issue. That could be a different type of alopecia. But when we're talking about you know, whether it's male or female, mostly men are going to have male pattern. That's why it's called that. And females are going to have female pattern. That's why it's called that, although men can have a female pattern and a female can have a male pattern. We want to understand that that is a pattern. So that's predisposed. It's not the football helmet. It's not the motorcycle helmet. Now we got to figure out how to get those guys and girls on the medicine. Yeah,
makes sense to me, Steve. I really, you know, appreciate you coming on as always and dropping some valuable information. And as always, if you like my channel, be sure to like, subscribe to it, and also check out Defeating Hair Loss with Steve. He's on there all the time, twice a week. So check him out, and then we will see you next time.